Right, Strongman fam, welcome back to the MST Systems YouTube channel. I know it's been a while, and I know last video I said we're going to get back on YouTube, but this is actually it now. So in this video, I'm going to talk to you about my log press peak. I'm going to show you some of the videos from the log press peak. I'm going to tell you every single thing about it so that you guys can potentially think and learn how to, extract crazy amounts of strength out of your body. Remember guys, I know I've focused it before, but there's a reason, I've got to say it, there's a reason why I'm a little tiny midget and I'm so strong. It's because I understand how to extract strength from every single little avenue, and I can teach you these things. It's really easy. And this log press peak's an absolute perfect example of that. This is actually, guys, the main reason why I haven't posted on YouTube, because as I got closer to the pinnacle of this peak, I got really sucked into the peak, and basically was so busy that my YouTube time used to cut into my training time a lot. And obviously when I'm peaking my log, I was like, nah, you can fuck right off. I'm not I'm not eating into my training time now, so I've not done any for a while. But I'm going to tell you the full package as to how I hit this 190 log. And a lot of the times when people talk about peaks, they concentrate on the specific peak, which isn't the correct way to do stuff, because whenever you want to achieve something that, crazy, something that's like, maybe it was way out of reach when you were thinking about this goal, it requires planning. Like, I have this conversation with people all the time. Like, the amount of times clients say to me, oh Shane, I want to do this comp, then this comp, then this comp, then this comp, then this comp. And I'm like, but that means that we're bouncing from peak to peak to peak to peak to peak to peak. And we have no opportunity to lay down a foundation to, build your strength potential. You just want strength extraction, strength extraction, strength extraction, strength extraction. If a year goes by, you have now not built any strength potential to improve for the next year. This is a common mistake people make with competing too often. I'm not going to mention his name, but I had this conversation with one of my clients earlier this week. He wanted to do OSG, and I said, let's skip the next couple of competitions, because we can then build your strength potential so that when we go into an extraction phase for OSG, you are a better athlete than you are right now. He thought about it and he's like, no, I want to do these two comps in between, which now means that we do strength extraction, strength extraction, strength extraction, make him compete as best as he can as an athlete in each show. Is he going to be a better athlete in each show? No, he's not, because he has no opportunity to build any strength potential. All he can do is, if this is how good he is as an athlete, the events change slightly, well, we can make him 100% skilled and extract his skill on this phase, on this competition here, and this competition here, and this competition here. But if he's coming second or third to people who are also running at 100% in these comps, he's probably still going to come second or third, because these other people, if they extract their strength properly and peak properly, they're a little bit better than him. So he needs to build his strength potential higher so that he can extract it better later in the year, if that makes sense. So this is why I'm mentioning this, because to go back to how I hit a 190 strict log, we have to look at the foundation I laid previously. And where did that come from? Well, it started right back at the start of this YouTube channel, actually, where I was fasting and I got myself absolutely shredded lean. I got my health markers absolutely perfect, and I got my aerobic capacity and my anaerobic conditioning extremely high, whilst doing lots and lots of, well, it was restoration style structural balance work. It was fixing dysfunction in my feet, knees, hips, shoulders. I basically made my vessel fixed, everything in line, all avenues that I would be using to extract strength, no niggles, no issues, no imbalances, no dysfunctions. Created this perfect little vessel. Then in December, I made that video saying I was going to do a strongman competition. That was the start of an accumulation phase, which is like a skill phase in the MST Systems app. So I started building volume and skill. I actually originally started out wanting to peak my axle, but what happened there is I got a bit of bicep tendonitis from the underarm, over-under clean. And then I entered a comp with logging, and I was like, oh, you know what? This axle's bothering my bicep, and I've got log in this show. So I went with the log. And that's kind of how this whole peak started. So for us to understand how I got a 190 log, we need to understand that I spent 6 months, Well, I wasn't weak, but I don't know how, I wasn't lifting heavy. I was doing volume, I was doing structural balance work, I was doing all the things that are inside the app, guys. Like if you do the restoration phase inside the app, you'll know what type of training I was doing. Interesting fact, by the way, I have had probably 10 DMs from people running the restoration phase and then telling me that they are stronger after it, even though they didn't lift anything heavy for like 4 weeks. And that's because what we've done is we've aligned the feet, knees, ankles, hips, shoulders, spine, pelvis, everything. We've activated glutes and adductors, and we've really reset your vessel into this perfect position to extract strength. So that's the reason why. So I spent 6 months doing that. Why 6 months when the phase is 4 weeks? Well, I've got 15 years of doing shit, so it takes me a little bit longer than most people. During this time, I was running 250 milligrams of test and 100 milligrams of Primabol. It was after the competition that I started an accumulation phase on the log, and I decided that the clean wasn't a weakness. I was going to press just from the chest. Yeah, I started an accumulation phase whilst running 250 milligrams of test, 100 milligrams of Primo. At this point in time, my body weight was about the 93, 94 kilo mark. I decided that I didn't care about the scale. I wasn't going to fast. And one of the things that the fasting and restoration phase fixed was I used to have terrible acid reflux and struggle digesting and processing food. I was slowly realizing during this time that I had opened up an avenue to eat more food, digest it better without reflux and issues and gas, etc. So at this stage, I was like, you know what, I'm going to push the food as well because I feel like I can. Like it was just this opportunity presenting itself, so I did. So during my log accumulation phase, I decided that it would be best if I paired it with a bench press and peaked my bench press at the same time. The reason being is because I had previously noted that there was a huge correlation for me between strict log and bench press. So I decided to run a bench press peak alongside a log press peak on 250 milligrams of test, 100 milligrams of Primo, pushing the food. Pushing the food, let's just call it 1,000 calorie surplus, quite an extreme surplus. I'll start with the bench press cycle. If you go into the MST Systems app, there's a 20 rep max bench press cycle. That's the training cycle I ran. Go to the website, download the app, 7-day free trial. You can build your own program and take a look at the bench press cycle that I ran. I ran it all the way through to a 1 rep max bench. And I can tell you the exact numbers that I hit. So week 1, 130 for 20. Week 2, 140 for 20. Week 3, 150 for 15. Week 4, 160 for 15. Week 5, 170 for 10. Week 6, 180 for 10. That's on my Instagram because that was a huge milestone to bench 4 plates for a set of 10. A bit of a lifetime goal. It was easy as well, could have done 12. So this first 6 weeks, guys, is an accumulation phase because of the way the rep ranges are going. Each time I did these sets, by the way, guys, I did 2 back off sets of half the reps. So when I did 140 for 20, I would do 2 by 10 at 140 afterwards. Okay? When I did 180 for 10, I did 2 by 5 at 180 afterwards. So week 7, which is the start of an intensification block because of the rep range drop and the percentage going up. 190 for 5. Week 8, 200 for 5. Week 9, 210 for 3. Week 10, 220 for 3, apart from I failed the third, unfortunately. Week 11 was a 230 bench, and week 12 was a 240 bench, which was the final peak. My PB at the start was 220, well 221 actually, so it was a 19 kilo PB off this training phase. Now the log phase that paired alongside it. So for the first 6 weeks, the accumulation phase, I put my log after that heavy bench press session so that it was pre-fatigued on purpose. And I would do press from chest work that would match the rep kind of goal of the bench press basically. So I did something like roughly, because the start's a bit blurry because I was kind of auto-regulating it myself, but I think I did 1 clean 10 press at 110 for 3 sets. Week 2, the same thing at 120. Then I would have done 130 for 3, one clean always, guys, by the way. 3 sets of 5 at 130 the following week on week 3. Then I'm pretty certain week 4 was 130 for 8, which I did at Hicks's gym on the Slater log, Pixie's gym on the Slater log. Then I did in my gym on the metal log 135 for 3x5, and then week 6 I did 135 for 8. Now that's kind of the end of this little accumulation phase on the log, and it started getting a little bit more of an intensification phase. And then week 7, I know that I pressed 140 for 8, but that could have been week 8. I might be missing a week here. I know my final 3 weeks, so I'm just trying to tie it in with there. So 140, oh, I know what happened. It was 140 for 8 on week 7. Then on week 8, I did 150 for 3x3. Then week 9, I did 150 for 5, apart from I failed this. This was still after heavy bench, all right? Week 10, I did 150 for 5, just about got the 5th. It was a bit of a ropey 5th. That was on week 10, that was my final log session after the bench. I then took the log and moved it to a different day so that it was fresh. Also, on week 9, so the week before that 150 for 5 that I got, that's where I changed my gear. So this whole time I was running 250 test, 100 Prima Bowl until I used a GH. Over the course of all these weeks, my body weight had gone up to 103. So I'd gone from about 93, 94 to 103. I was starting to get a bit fat, to be honest. And then I added in the gear I was going to use for what was planned to be the final 3 weeks. So for weeks 10, 11, and 12. So I added in 300 tren and anthe. I added in 50 milligrams of Anadrol a day, but that was for 10 days before my 1 rep max 10, not the whole 3 weeks. I added in test suspension pre-workout on log and bench days. I added in Ment for 3 days before my log attempt at 50 milligrams a day. And I also started taking a new pep supplement daily. I think it was 30 milligrams of new pep a day. There was also 1 or 2 sessions where I took test suspension and a halo pre-workout, 20 milligrams of halo. Is that everything? Just make sure I'm being fully honest. Is that everything? Yeah, that's everything. Yeah, that was everything. So this final 3 weeks, I really ramped everything. Now, here's where the kind of issues cropped in. Now, I know from past experience that I do not get on with tren. It's a really bad drug for me, guys. It makes me so sick. It ruins my stomach. It ruins my appetite. Makes me feel horrendous. However, it does give me a huge boost in strength. And this is what I teach my clients and people that if you watch me, it's always a risk versus reward stuff when you decide to add in gear. And especially if you understand what it does to you. So I basically knew this tren will make me stronger, but this tren will make me ill. It will make me feel terrible, it will make me feel sick. I will not like this next couple of weeks. However, I will be very, very strong. I know the kind of outcome potentials and I, decided it was worth it. So I went with it. However, I only planned 3 weeks because in the past I can usually get to week 4 before all this happens. So in my head I was like, if I just do 3 weeks, I'll be okay. But that's not how, it didn't go like that, to be honest with you. Almost within 5 days, maybe 7-10 days at most, it was bad. Like I couldn't eat, my appetite was gone. The acid reflux had come back, and tren makes me gip as well. I don't know why. It just makes me gip. Like I've been brushing my teeth and trying to be sick. It's a horrible drug for me, guys. Yeah, I just struggled, to be honest with you, that last 3 weeks. I was on liquid meals, spoke to Max McCall. Max McCall, by the way, was helping me with these weight selections and stuff, and doing my assistance, and he was doing my accumulation phase for my other training. I was doing some snatch grip deadlifts and some other stuff with Max. Just was on liquid meals. Max suggested some smoothies. I was drinking smoothies. I was drinking chocolate milk. And for some reason that I cannot explain to you, I have no idea why, but at night time I could eat. So I was shuttling in the Domino's or something to try and get a couple of 1,000 calories in at night because I wanted to stay bloated. Because during this time I was losing weight and I didn't want to. I got down to 101 and I was like, no, I need to be fat and bloated. So I started eating these Dominoes and stuff. And then when I got the Anadrol in about 10 days out, I put on a load of water and blew up to about, I think the heaviest I saw on the scale was 109 actually. That was like one of them moments where I'd just eaten loads of food, drank loads of water, I was bloated, it was at night, and I weighed 109. On average, I was like 105 to 107 in the morning, but still I was the biggest I'd ever been. And after that 150 for 5 log, and adding all this gear in, it kind of kicked in the week after. I'd also moved all my training so that I wasn't pre-fatigued from the bench, and I did a 171 kilo log for 1 clean 3 press, and it was a fucking mega set. It was the strongest lightweight log set ever. It was fucking beautiful. And then the week after that, that was when I benched 230 that week, so it was kind of coinciding with the bench cycle. And the week after that, I hit a 190 log, 240 bench. It was a really perfect end to the cycle. It was just the right time to finish it. I was feeling sick, I was feeling terrible, but not that bad, and I hit the 190 log. Now what I should have done, I should have called it there, but the goal was 200. I really do believe that on that day, in that moment, with that peak, if I'd have just gone for it instead of 190, I believe that I got it, but I didn't. So I tried to extend it a week. Now here's the problem. I'd done Anadrol for 10 days and I decided to stay on Anadrol for another 7. I never stay on Anadrol more than 10 days. It's the most I've ever done in my life. But I was like, fuck it, we'll go for it. It's only 1 more week, what can it do? So I stayed on Anadrol for 7 days to try and keep that neural priming and strength. I stayed on the tren an extra week, and I did the same load. So I was on the new pep that had meant 3 days before. I did the exact same protocol I did the week before. However, at this point, I was so ill. Like, I was struggling. I mean, Shannon will tell you, I was waking up in the morning and just going and being sick. I was eating a meal and being sick. I was just lethargic. I couldn't do anything. Just felt horrendous. Should not have stayed on that last week. Went to go do this 200 log, and I wasn't anywhere near as strong as I was the week before. I was cooked. And then, yeah, as soon as that was done, I actually went on a 5-day fast after that. The first 2 or 3 days of that fast, I can hardly remember. I had sweats, I was being sick. Even though I was fasted for like 2 days, I was puking up bile. I was in hot sweats. I just felt really sick. It really wasn't worth it. I dropped like 7 kilo in 5 days of just pure water and obviously a bit of inflammation and fat and whatnot as well. But for that fast, I literally just dropped so much crap that I was holding, and I felt so much better after them 5 days. That log peak was fucking really, really good, really fun. The main mistake was just not accepting the 190, trying it again. The takeaway for you guys is that training cycle was 12 weeks. 9 weeks of it was on 250 test 100 primo. It was only the final 3 weeks I androgen loaded, and it made me feel that bad. All the work before it, the fasting, the structural balance work, the restoration work, the accumulation phase, everything I did, that played the biggest role in me achieving that log. People look at the last 5 weeks. Oh, he restricted 130 for 8, 140 for 8, 150 for 5, 170 for 3. You know, that's what made him strong. No. That's not what made me strong. That's strength extraction. This is strength potential. All this stuff I've done before is what gave me the potential to lift that weight. Strength extraction is really fucking easy. I just told you the most simple cycle. 20-20, 15-15, 10-10, 5-5, 3-3. 1-1. Yeah, it's not very hard, is it? That's one of the most simple peaks you can do. It's really fun and works fucking every time. But that's the strength extraction cycle that's got an accumulation built in at the start. Now, all the restoration work, shoulder stability, aerobic capacity, etc., all these things, getting control of my resting heart rate, my HRV, all these things are what lay the foundation down to achieve these mega lifts. So takeaway I want you to get from this log press peak vid is to not underestimate taking time away from top end weights and making sure that things are in line, like knees, ankles, hips, pelvis, shoulders, making sure that your mobility is correct. Like for example, if you have poor mobility overhead, map a training phase out where you don't bench, you don't do anything that's going to tighten up your chest. You just have movement patterns and exercises that will open you up, like behind the neck strips, passive hangs, behind the neck lat pull downs, make sure you do some different row variations, etc. That phase of training will then set your next phase up for really great results. Whereas if you keep chipping away doing the same shit all the time, you're going to have the same dysfunctions, the same issues, and your strength potential is going to be hugely limited. And strength training isn't just about lifting crazy heavy weights all the time. It's about understanding the finer details of your anatomy and your mechanics, and being able to change, fix, exploit them so that you can get the most strength gains possible. And I hope you found that video interesting. It's good to be back on YouTube, and I'm sure I'll see you in the next video in a bit.